All right, good. So we are recording now. So let's begin. All right. Welcome. We're looking at the database section of the slides. All right. So I'm just going to be using this to mark up so I can see what we're doing, and then we'll be referring to our spreadsheet, because remember that it's a continuation. So the data that we have in our spreadsheet here is what we will be moving forward with into the database part. So let's go. So just going to read through this and mark it up. All right, the database will keep track of reservations for the hotel. All right, same that we're working with before, so the same set of customers. This customer info will be exported from the spreadsheet section. All right, the database will provide queries and reports. So the database, as mentioned before, is just a collection of data, and then we'll manipulate the data in order to get some sort of queries. So the main purpose of this is, for example, at school, at Info Tech school, we have a large database with all of your information, right? So at any point, we can click on something and I can say, I can look at all the students past IT from 11S by doing a query, and the query will show me, search database show me everybody who passed IT from 11S, who those who get over 70 from 11S. And I can also see your contact information if I need to call their parents, if I need to invite them for a ceremony or whatever the case. So the purpose of the database is to collect the data, and then the reports are to generate specific information from all of this data that I've collected. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read through the SBA piece by piece, and then we're going to attempt to do section piece by piece, right, as it is laid out. So number one, we're going to create a database, and we're going to call it reservations. So we're creating one database called reservations. So unlike Microsoft Word, where you would Excel, where you would start working and then you name the file, for Microsoft, a database, we need to name the file first and then we start working, right? So in order to do this, bear in mind, if you have a phone or a tablet, you might not be able to do this because Microsoft Access is only accessible through a Windows device or an Apple device, Apple laptops, right? Through the Microsoft Office, right? It's not something you can download an app and use. I've tried, and the ones that I see do what we need it to do, right? So if you have a laptop, then you should be good. If you don't have a laptop, then somewhere over the weekend or so, you need to find one to get access to do some work on it, all right? So that is all that is. All right. So we're using Microsoft Access Store. So from our start menu, we can just go and look for Microsoft Access. My one is here. Normally, some of you might have yours somewhere in the list here. So it is Microsoft Access. Same place where you find Microsoft Word and Excel and them. So same place you would find Access. All right. So click on Access. It's going to come up like this, asking you what type of database you want to create. Because they have some. Yes.
It in Microsoft Office.
What was that, man?
Sir, I said I cannot see it in my Microsoft Office, sir.
It should be there for most Microsoft Office out there. It come with Word, Excel, Access, Publisher. Some of them, like the lower end one, might come with Word or Excel and a couple other pieces, or I might not have it. So if the one that you have don't have the Office that have Access on it or Publisher on it, then you can go. You can go by school at Mr. Richards to get the updated Microsoft Office. All right, and that will
I just saw it.
All right, good. All right, so in this case, we're looking for a blank desktop. All right, blank. So we hit blank, and it's going to give us the option to where you want to save it. So you can hit this button here, so to where you want to save it. In my case, I want in my documents. You might want to change where you save your jump drive or your desktop or whatever. I remember we're naming this reservation. So you can name your reservation and put a name out at the end right there. So just to make sure that that is your file. All right. So remember that once you create this reservation, you keep going back to the file. Every other piece that you're going to create, you will see in this file. So if I tell you to create 3 tables, you're not going to look on your jump drive for 3 different tables. You're not going to see them individually, right? Everything is going to be within this reservations. So it's when you open the reservations, you're going to see back everything that you created before. All right. So once you put in a name, I want to save it, and you hit create. All right. And we end up with the screen. So this is our user interface for Microsoft Access. Blank now, but it operates just similar to Excel and Word, where you have the menu up at the top and you have the workspace in here. All right. And then we can create things. We can create tables, queries, forms, reports, etc. Right. So for our SBA purposes, we're going to be creating a couple tables. We're going to be creating about 3 queries. We're going to be creating 1 form and 1 report. All right. So let's go. Let's go. All right. Back to the SBA now. So in this database, create 3 tables. So they tell that they're going to be needing 3 tables, right? These are the 3 tables listed here. So it says define the fields personal info table. So this is 1 table, personal info table. That is table. Define the fields for the reservation table. This is 1 table. And define the fields for the payment table, right? So everything that you already have inside in your spreadsheet here, so we're just going to break it up in different tables, all right? If you watch the video before, it explained why we break up tables into pieces, right? It's part of security control management, all right? So we're going to these 3 tables. Each of these 3 tables have the respective fields inside of it. So the personal info table have a visitor ID, type, first name, last name, address 1, address 2, country, region. It have all of these: region, telephone number, fax, email. Geez, it's all that. All right, I might take out a couple of these. Let's take out the fax and the email for now. All right. For the second one, the reservation table, we're going to have the visitor ID, number of nights, check-in, check-out, number of children, number of adults, room type, right? So all of this is coming from the spreadsheet again. And for the payment table, we're going to have visitor ID, payment method, adult cost, children cost, total cost, tax, discount, amount to be paid, right? Notice to them, there's a unique thing where each table have. Each table have a visitor ID, right? And as explained in the video I sent earlier, I explained why each table is going to have a visitor ID. So you understand this, right? If you don't create a visitor ID and put the same information for each one, you're going to create confusion, and your table your database is not going to function as it should. All right. So it means that each visitor must have visitor ID, right? So I went ahead and I created a visitor ID in my spreadsheet here, just to make it easier, because I could have done access, but to make it easier, I did it in Excel right here. So, right. So I have my visitor ID right here. So you can make up anything for your visitor ID as long as it's logical and makes sense. I want mine to make sense. So I did mine like BJ because it's the first the initial for the last name and the initial for the first name, followed by 4 random numbers. All right. So for Garden Kyle would be BK because it's Garden Kyle, G and K, and then 4 random numbers. All right. Remember that 2 persons will have the same ID number. If 2 people have the same ID number, when you copy it into Access, it's going to create confusion. So that is the purpose of an ID number. It is supposed to be unique to each customer here. right? You don't have to have your ID number like mine. You can just put, let me give you an example. Put any four random numbers, right? Or any 5 random numbers. Make sure that the two, matter of fact, you can make it anywhere from 4 to 6. So you can put it like that and make your ID number look like that, almost like a TRN number, right? You can do whatever the case is, make sure that it's consistent. So whatever you do for the first one, make sure you do about the same thing for the second one and continue as you go on, right? So I did it my way with 2 letters, the initials to start it, and 4 numbers after. You have to do your same way, right? Just as long as you make sure that every single person have a unique number. No 2 visitors are not supposed to have the same number. That's an important thing. If you have duplicates, you're going to create confusion in your database. Remember, right? I put it here because I'm going to copy out some of this information out of this spreadsheet into my database, right? So I'm going to create a database. I'm going to start off with a personal info table, right? And the fields that are there. So in my database here, I'm going to go to table. No, not do that. Let me do it the better way. Create, and then we're going to use the table design. All right, the table design allows us to customize the table, to put in the field names that we want. All right, so table design, and I'm going to come up like this, similar to how you saw it in the video before. Right, so this is where now I'm going to put in each of my field names. So if I have, let me see, visitor ID, title, first name, last name, address 1, address 2. I have first name, address 1, address 2, country, region, telephone number. All right. Right, this one was supposed to have date of birth in it. So this is supposed to have a date of birth as part of the personal info. Right, so I can put in UOB or date of birth. Right, so these are the fields to create the first table, which is the personal info table. All right, now for each field that I put in here, the data type, and the data type indicates the type of data that the field is going to store, right? So for example, we know that our first name is going to be text, some sort of, right? You have short text and you have long text, right? In the video that I said before, you will see the difference between short text and what long text does, right? So I'm gonna have to explain that. So you will see what put it as short text, all right? Telephone number, and how you, well, depending on how you write a telephone number. So if you write a telephone number like that, if you write it straight out like that, then you can put it as a number. But we're going to have it like with a dash in it, like that, then let it remain as short text, right? So it depends on how you plan to type out your number, right? If you put it at number and you go in there and type this, you're going to end up with problems because it's not going to allow you. You're going to tell you that it's mismatch because these could dash in here so that are not numbers, but you declare it as number. All right. So if you're going to have the dash in it, make it still as short text. If not, you can put it as number. All right. For the date of birth, there's a predefined one in here for date and time. So you can let that one remain as is. All right. So we have the visitor ID first, FIRST. What is happening? FIR. First name, last name. Address 1, you know that the address 1 is your street address, right? When you're doing forms and things like that, address 1 is your address. So you have number 1 Young Street, that is a street address. Address 2 will be the community. All right. So address 1 is a street address, and Loves Lane, 5 Young Street, whatever the case is, address 2 will be a community. You have the country, the region, telephone number, date of birth. So most of these information are already in your access in your Microsoft Excel in a spreadsheet, right? So the visitor ID is in there, so we can copy that. The first name is in, the last name is in there, the region is in there, and I think the date of birth might be in there. Yes or no, I'm not sure. All right. So once we have all of that, the next thing we need to identify is our primary key. All right. Again, in the video that I sent earlier, it explains why the primary key is important, right? And if you mess up the primary key, potentially mess up the database and make things not work how it is supposed to, right? Things have to set us with a database, right? So in order to make it work, it's going to end up with wrong information and cross information and stuff like that, right? So we are going to assign the visitor ID as our primary key. So we click on visitor ID here in the field right here, visitor ID, and then we click on primary key, right? So you will see a little key come up beside it like that. That wasn't there before, you see it? So that indicates that this is our primary key, all right? So we can do it now or we can do it after we put in the information. So I'm going to do it after, but remember to come and do it, all right? So once you are satisfied that this is good, we can go to view. View is going to ask us, do you want to save this table? Yes, I want to save it. I'm going to save it as what it suggests in the SBA personal info table. All right, this is the name that was given that it should be saved as. All right, and I hit OK. There's no primary field. Remember I was telling about the primary key a while ago? We can come back and this is saying there's no primary key defined. Do you want to insert it? No, I'm fine. And there's none. Good. So when I do that now, this is how the table is going to come up, and it's blank. As you can see, there's only headings, there's only field names in it. There's no information in it, right? So I need to now import some of the data from my spreadsheet into this table. So I'm going to start off with my visitor ID, right? So I go over here, watch this, I know people always say them do it and them can't do it. Yes.
Sir, your last one, please, sir. Or you click on the view thing, sir.
When we're here, just click on it. It's right here. All right, just click on the table. I can go view and it's a data sheet view. So if you don't want to click on that, you can click on the little arrow it and it give you the data sheet view, which is this, right? So if you want to go back to edit the field names or to edit the data type, we can go back to view and go to design view, and design view brings us back to how we were creating. So once we finish putting in all of the information here, so and we're ready to assign primary key, we go back to view and then we'll go back to design view and then we can insert the primary key. All right. But for now, we just want to put data first. All right. So let's go. So we're going to go to our ID. And remember, when you're doing this, try to do it one time and get it. When you're doing the export, try to do it one time and get it over with, right? Because if you do some now and then later, sometimes it gets mixed up. I don't know why, but sometimes when you enter data access, after a while, it sorts it by the visitor ID. If you notice here, none of this is sorted right now. None of these IDs are sorted really, right? So if I put it in here as unsorted, and then it's sorted, when I go to the other tables to create it and start putting information, things going to get mixed up, right? It might be hard to vision when I tell you right now, but it's usually when you start do it, you say, oh, that's what I talk about. So to avoid that, just try to do everything we need for the one time to create tables, all right? All right. So we say we need the visitor ID, so we're going to copy it. So from the first one, don't include the heading up here. So we're starting from the first ID, And we'll just go down and copy. And then we'll go back to the table. Put the cursor over the field name, right? Where you see I have mine right over the field name as is right now. You're going to see turn that black arrow pointing down, right? You see that black arrow pointing down. Once you see that, you can just click and go to paste. And it should bring in everything. So this is telling you are about to paste 30 records, and these are the 30 records, right? Let me do that again. From access, I highlight off. I'm starting from the first data, even though you don't see the highlight here. So these are like a bar on everything that show that the first one is highlighted. So I'm starting from A5 and all the way down to copy all of my ID numbers. All right. Copy. Switch over to the table. Put my cursor on the field name. Click on the field name, and then click paste. And then you're going to see come up, and this is confirming. Are you sure you want to paste these 30 records? Yes. Good. So once you see this coming now, it means that we're on our way. Go back again. You copy your first name. Same process. Last name. You look at me, you know, don't try work. While I'm doing my name, I might miss something. So wait till I finish and then you're doing. All right. Do I have no? I don't have any address 1, address 2 country. I have a region. So I can copy the region. Right there. Do I have a date of birth? No, I don't have a date of birth. So you're going to have to put in it. So everything is here, so you're going to have to put in. Right. No. Yes, a telephone number. I have a telephone number. Right. So we see that we only have the address and the date of birth outstanding. So for the address now, you're going to have to start putting this one for yourself. So as I tell you, the address is a street address. So you can just say 20 Learn Avenue. These can be any address. Bear in mind, it does make up some address as long as it's unrealistic. Don't make sense, but again, it don't have to be anywhere in particular. It does make up some address and move to it. All right, don't waste no time on that. All right, and then you just move through all of them for the country. You know that if it's Jamaica, you call that local, you have to have Jamaica. Where it says North America, just put in any North American place that you know. America, just put in South America, and Europe, just put in any Europe country that you know. Things like that. It don't have to be nothing specific, but just make it as realistic as possible. All right, and it will populate this table, right? So when you're finished, Dijane. Yeah, Dijane.
Sir, so like how for JA we have no like how for NA we have New York. So sir, if you were like any of them we put New York there.
No, New York, North America, you know. So just find any North America yes that you can think of. I'm tell you, you know really necessary to make perfect sense, but you just want to look realistic, right? So any North American place that you can think of like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Europe, you know, say London in Europe, you know, say Italy, all of them. So just make up, use your Google, man. Google will help you. Google is your friend. All right. So once you don't put in all of this, remember we need to assign the key. So we need to go back to our view and design view, and then put the cursor in visitor ID here, so and hit primary key. to make the key come up here. So, all right. So when you go back to your database view, you ask you want to save, yes. So this way now you know say you're good. The keys in there, you can create the relationships, and I soon show you how to create the relationship. So this is one table. So as I create it, you will see come up down here. So personal info table. All right. We're going to create the next one. Let's create the reservation table now. All right. So same process. We're going to create table design, and the reservation table asks for reservation ID, number of nights, check-in, check-out, number of children, number of adults. So you want visitor ID, okay, visitor ID, number of nights, check-in, check-out. Check-in, check-out, number of children, number of adults, room type. Type. Yeah, and that's it. So again, we look through this now because we need to identify what are numbers and what are what the different data types. So number of nights, we know that that must be a number. Check-in, that's going to be date. And check-out is going to be a date as well. Number of children, number of adults, and room type is text. All right, bear in mind you get marks for this. So when I look through your database, so that you have appropriately set your data types, you get a mark for this. All right, a lot of students will create the table, and then move on and start putting the data. And then when I look now, I am seeing everything as short text. All right. In addition to that, as you get further into it, you're going to realize that sometimes we need to create a query. Might ask for some calculation to take place. And in my query, it might, for I just going to type here so to show you what I mean. It might ask to check number of visitors, right? And number of visitors would be the number of adults plus number of children, something like this, right? If you declare, if in here, so you declare the text, in your view, you're going to see the number. So you're going to see the numbers 45 adults and 14 children. But you declared it as text and not number. So if I were to do a calculation on it, it's going to be looking at a text times a text, a time plus a text. So a text, letters plus letters can calculate. So you're going to get an error. Only numbers plus numbers can calculate, right? This is why you have to declare this as a number and this as a number if you plan to use it for any form of calculation, right? So even though it might appear as 25 and 40, you leave it as short text. If you plan to use it for calculation, you have to remember to put it number, all right? Don't forget that, very important, don't forget that, all right? Remember that I give you marks. Your marks are awarded for the data type, all right? So once you're satisfied that this is good, you can go to our data sheet view. You need to ask what you want to name it as. We want to name it as reservation table. We're not ready for the key yet. All right. And then we just go on the same process that we did before. Remember, ID number first to avoid any mix-up. Yes, Raymond.
sir, for the ID part, sir. Or you type in the number in the part, sir.
In here, sir, in our
Yes, sir.
just type. What do you mean how you type it in?
So look up on the some way I showed us the water, whatever. Access some of the person name. I might table to the ID part so we can type in the part.
You can't type in it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sometimes when you create this, you see, the computer will automatically change this and put it as auto number. So look and make sure that the visitor ID is not on the auto number. All right. Make sure that your visitor ID remain as short. Because if you don't, it's sometimes if you don't declare it, sometimes the computer just give you an auto number because I don't know, say you have planned to put in your own ID number. So you give an auto number and then start count 1, 2, go down. Right? And then I'll allow you to change that. So go back in your design view, change it back to short text. And that should solve it. All right, number of nights. You can copy number of nights. We have here so. Check-in date. Checkout date. Tell you know, don't try to do it while we are doing it, while me are doing it, you know. You pay attention. Number of children. And as you can see, we basically copy most of the things from Excel, right? And this is important. So what this means is that, you see, if your Excel good, then when you copy everything Excel into Access and you continue, then you're going to be good. But you see, if you make a whole heap of mistakes in Excel, or you short-change in Excel and the foolishness, you're going to be copying foolishness from Excel to Access. So when I look at it, if I look in Access and I see that there's an error to be made, there's an error that was made, and you have to make a correction, you're going to have to go back to Excel for correct from Excel and then come back and correct it in Access. And then remember now, we're copying. So anything you change, any of these figures you change here, so you're going to have to come back and recopy everything from scratch, which makes it the whole thing like I do it 2 and 3 times over. So the key thing is make sure your Excel is good, make sure your Excel perfect. For those of you that give correction, make sure you do your corrections before you try to push forward with Access. You're going to find yourself going back and forth, recreating Access. Every time you do a correction in Excel, you're going to come back in Access and recreate it to fix it. Right? Somebody never tell you, don't somebody never warn you. All right, and finally, the room type. Good, this is everything. So once you're at this point now, again, as before, you go back to the view, to our design view, go back to this ID, put in the key field, make sure you put in that, and go back to the data sheet view, save it, yes. So this is all our table. So now we have 2 tables, as you can see. All right, and then finally, so may I go through all of them with you know one, may I go through all of them and I shortcut it, you know. So I want the comment and tell them so them not this and them not that after I go through this. All right. Now we're going to do the payments table now. Come on. Yeah. So again, we'll create table. Start with the visitor. Sorry. So much. Create table design. Yeah. Visitor ID. Then we have payment method, cost, children cost, total cost. costs, children costs. Car costs. One amount to be paid. All right, and then these are the fees for finish up this one. All right, and again, we have to make sure that we look through as needs to be changed here. So we know that adult costs, this is going to be currency. Children costs, which is also currency, because these are money we're dealing with. Total cost current. All of the rest of the ones going down here are currency. All right, not to be confused with number, because even though it's a number, you want the dollar sign to come in front of it. So when you put it as currency, the dollar sign will automatically come in front of it. All right. We go to data sheet view. This is our sign payments table. Okay. All right. So you see the dollar sign and come up already. We're going to copy again, visitor ID. Payment method. Did we have a payment method? Yes. Adult costs. So you see these are the past. Did the foolishness for the adult costs and you copy it over. If you have to correct it, you go back to Excel and correct it and then come back over here and correct it. You know, one of them problems that trust me. Children costs. And then total cost, which is a group cost. Tax. Discount. All of my discount are 0. Your one will be different because you did probably get some fees. So don't worry about mine. And then the amount to be paid. Fully populated. Bear in mind, you're going to finish putting your information of your address and so forth. All right, for my purposes, for demonstrate, you may not have to go that far with mine. So once you stay like this, we're good, right? Remember, the app is going to connect, and I'm going to show you now how them connect. So once remember, you have the 3 tables here, so you're good. All right, so we can close these. No, wait. Did I put this as a key? No, I didn't. All right, so once you finish with these are, when you see them up on the top tab here, so it means that they are active. So once you're not using them now, finish creating, you can close them. They are still here. So anyone you want to open, you can click on it and open it back. But if you're not using them, just close them. All right, so the next stage now, after we have created the table, is we're going to go to our database tools, and we're going to create our relationships. Right? So we have 3 tables working with. So you double click on them: payment table, personal info, reservation, payment, reservation. All right. So these are the 3 tables that we have all our information saved in. And we want to create a relationship with them to ensure no cross-reference of data. Right? I explained in the video that to watch previously how that can happen when you don't create body. They can cross and you can, instead of 30, you can have thousands of visitors being displayed instead of 30 and things like that. All right. So in this case now, we are going to create a relationship between the 3 tables, and the thing is to create a relationship. Just like in life, if you have a wife or a husband, you create a relationship. You create a relationship based on things that you have in common, right? So we need to identify the field that these three tables have in common, and these fields have to be unique, meaning no two persons in this field can have the same set of information. So if it's like the personal info table, the visitor ID here, so no two persons in this table can have the same visitor ID. As I explained to you before when I was doing this table, no two persons are supposed to have the same ID. That's going to cause problems, right? More than one person can have the same first name, so that's why we can't use first name. More than one can have the same last name, that's why we can't use last name. Same thing for all of the other type of information. More than one person can be using that payment method, that's why we can't use that. But in all cases, no two persons should have the same visitor ID. That's why we can use visitor ID, right? What we're going to do now, we're going to click on one, just click on it and hold it down and drag it over to connect to the other one. And if something come up like this, if you want to create it, the relationship, visitor ID from payment table, visitor ID from personal table, create. And you see a solid line. So no matter what, nothing will break that line, just like a marriage. All right. Visitor ID, to connect the visitor ID over here. So again, so you just click on this, hold it, drag it over to visitor ID on the other side, and you create that relationship. So once that relationship is created, no matter what happens, it's not going to move, right? It's always created. So what that is going to do, throughout our database, and no matter what we do, it will always ensure that that is created. So there can be cross-referencing of data, which will create problems for you, all right? So once you do that, yes, go ahead.
So, sir, suppose like we click on the one of them, sir, and we can we want on relationship with sir and so like
On relationship with
sir, divorce.
You can click on the line. If you click on the line, you see it become highlighted, and you can just press delete on the keyboard. So you're saying, are you sure you want to permanently delete this relationship? Yes, and it will come. So if you accidentally did the wrong one and you want to fix it, click on the line, delete it, and you can unrelationship it. Alright?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Good. So once you finish with that, just close this and it will always remain there. Do you want to save it? Yes. And it will always remain in the background. All right, so now we have the three tables, so are the most important things. Next thing we want to move is the queries. All right, and these are the tricky part now. People always mess up, right? In this case, we only have 3 queries working with the tree, and then we have a report, and then there's a form that you will create, but I will show you that at a later date. We're just going to focus on important things for today. All right, so this query says A, we're looking at A, it says display all visitor personal information that are from Europe region, and save this as European query. It is saying display all personal information. So these are the key terms. All visitors from the Europe region. So this means that it wants all of the personal information, but only for the persons from Europe, right? So when we look at this, we realize that we're only going to be using one table. So we're using only the personal information table to get all of the Europe persons, right? So only personal information table, remember that. All right, so let's create that query now. So create, and we can create a query using a wizard or the design. For you guys learning it, it's easier to do it with the design. So we're just going to go, not with the wizard, with the design. So we're going to query design. All right, it comes up like this. So it's asking you now which tables have the information that we want to create what we just asked for. All right. So remember it said that we're using the personal information table. So we all know information from this personal information table. So kind of double click on it Or we can click on it once and press add, and it will go in the background. Or we can close it, right? All right, so now this is all the information we want. So this is asking us for all the personal information for the European persons, right? So we mean that we want all of the information. So to lay them out in the table down here. So we can either go to one and click here so and go ID and then go to the next one and first name, or we can just say click up here so double click, visitor ID, first name, last name, address 1, address 2, country, region, telephone number, date of birth, all right? And so these are all of the information in our personal information table. To display the query, we will do what is called a run, similar to but not similar, right? So run it now, we're going to execute and only display what we have selected here. So it's only supposed to show all of the personal information for these fields that are right here. So when I run it, it's going to show me all of this, which is exactly what I want to see. So this is showing me for all 30 persons. This is showing me all of the personal information to all of them. But remember, the query said only for European persons. So it means that we don't want to the North America and South America and GA. We only want to see all of the EU persons. So we'll go back to a view. And we're going to put in what's called a criteria, right? Because they only want to see the European persons, and the information for the European persons are under region. So under region, now we're going to specify EU. Let me tell you why we specify EU. Let me run it back and I'll show you. Because EU is what is in here, so, right? Some of when you were doing your spreadsheet, you might have typed out the entire thing. So you might have said EU ROP. So you might have typed out the whole thing for each of them. You wouldn't use EU, you would use Europe. But in my case, where I am only showing EU, only want to look for EU. So it means that here, so I just type EU. If in the table, maybe type out the full Europe right here, so I would have to type out the full Europe because it's going to search for all the regions that meet this criteria for EU. So when I type EU here, so and I run it, it's only showing me those who are in Europe, right? So the criteria. And if you can imagine, for example, with you guys, school, right? I could have listed out all of your name and your class and all of your math scores. And then under the math score, I can just type something like greater than 50. And that would filter through and show me only the persons who get greater than 50. So this is filtering through the entire database, personal info team, and it's only showing me those who are EU, right? And then when we see those EU only like this, who are EU, then we know so this is good, right? Blank spaces here, so because remember I didn't put in any address on my own. But when you put in all of your address, we see coming like this. So all of you would be different, depending on the amount of Europe people you have. If you have Europe people in your table, you're going to see 10. If you had 20 in your one, you're going to see 20. In my case, I only had 6. I only had 6 persons from you in my thing. So that's why I'm only seeing 6. So it's good, right? Next thing, you can save it. So look at save icon up at the top here. So we're going to save this as European query. European query and OK. Good. So you see I'm a queries partner. So I have 3 tables and now I have 1 query. Good. So I'm finish this. I can close this. Good. All right. Let's try the other one now. Let's try B. All right, Gavon. I don't know the fun is there, man, but your mic turn on here. All right, good. So for B, find all visitors that stayed over 5 days. So you want all the visitors that stayed over 5 days and are not local. Not local. Right? So it says to include the first name, address, mobile number, and amount paid. So you want visitors that stayed over 5 days and are not local, and you have to include their full name, address, and mobile number. All right. So the name, the address is going to be in the personal information table. The over 5 days, that's to be in the reservation table. All right. So it means that we need 2 tables here. So we're going to go create. Again, so we know that we need the personal table, personal info table, and we need reservation table. And we'll close that. All right, good. You see this now? You see once, because we create a relationship, once we do things like this, the line automatically come in. But I'm going to show you what will happen if you didn't create the table. When I finish this one, I'm going to show you what will happen if you didn't create a relationship. All right. So this asks for visitor full name, address, and mobile number, and amount to be paid. So you want the visitor's full name, address, mobile number, and amount to be paid. All right, good. So let me sort one. The amount to be paid is in the payment table, but I didn't put in the payment table here, so that means that I would just in the empty space here, so right click. No, that is not. Show table, and then I can now add my payments table to the list. All right, good. And this now will have the amount paid. All right, so I just put in all of the fields that it asks me to put in: full name, address, mobile number, amount to be paid. All right, I know that I have to put in the amount of days because this is asking for over 5 days. And the only way I'm going to know over 5 days if I'm looking at the days. So I know that I have to put in number of nights. That will tell me that information. All right, good. So if I run this, this is going to show me everybody information. So you're going to show me all of the first name, the last name, and look here now, combine the different table. Because remember that this set of information was in one table, and this set of information was in another table. The only reason why I can combine everything moves seamless like this is because we created the link with the ID number. Because it's looking for the ID number for this person here. So for Janet Blake, match the ID number in the other tables. That's how it works. They say if you don't have the ID number, you're going to end up with duplicates. And instead of this full 30, it starts to 60 and 90 people in there when it's only 30 people you already have, right? So it's important that the ID numbers match. I'm going to show you in a second as well, but let's finish this first. So yes, we see everybody here. So, but the main thing this is asking for over 5 days. Over 5 days. So you need to remember that. So we don't want to see the people that are 4 days and under. So all them people who have 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, they have to come out. We only want to see over 5 days. So back on our view, we will go to number of nights, and we put in less than 5. No, that is not correct. Wait a second. Over 5, yeah, 6 and over. So it will be less than 6. Incorrect. Greater than 5, right? Over 5. Greater than 5, right? So in this case, I'll put in the greater than 5 here. So now it's going to show me everybody that stayed over 5 days. That is correct. So see there, show me everybody who's staying over 5 days out of the entire list. So I only have 15 persons that are over 5 days. All right. But But we're not finished yet because it said something else. It said that are not local residents, not local residents. So we don't want to see the Jamaican people in this list, right? First of all, we never put in anything for sure that they are Jamaican. So we need to ensure that we put in the region. And then we run it now just to make sure that, yes, it is there. But we don't want to see the Jamaican ones. We don't want to see these Jamaican ones in it. We only want to see North America, South America, and Europe. So go back to it. Under our region, we can say, can we do that? Let me try and see if this works. If we can say not JA. Let me try and see if this works. Yes, it did work. Wonderful. So what I did here, so I said not JA. I put JA only, right, like this. Then it would only search for the persons that are JA, right? But I don't want to see them. So I'm using the, remember this not term that we use in programming. I can so I'm not JA, and it works. It shows me those who are not JA. So this is everybody that is over 5 days and that are not JA. So this is correct as it is. This is the answer. Let me show you a different way that you could have written criteria. Instead of saying not JA, I could have said North America, South America, EU. And this would have been the same thing. So this would only show North America, South America, and the EU. So I would have ended up with, I'm going to end up with more here. So now. I greater than 5. All right, so this won't work. So just do it like I'll show you first. Just do it like I'll show you, not J. And this will work perfectly, right? So this would be your answer. Bear in mind, as I said before, your numbers here might differ from mine because of the data that you put in, right? And then your addresses will come up here. So, all right. Let me just show you quickly now what would have happened if you didn't create a relation. So remember, in my case here, so I have 10 persons that meet my criteria here, less than 2. Right? Sorry. If I didn't do this, see, if I didn't do this, or if I forgot to do this, if I try to run it, look how much I end up with. 8,550. Because it's cross-referencing, it's looking for in matching. If you did watch a video with me this for you, it try match everything in one table and multiply by everything in the other, multiply by everything in the other table, and it can do this back and forth until it stops, right? So in that case, when I did it, in this case, it end up with, instead of 10 people, 15 people, I end up with 8,550. When naturally it no way can be correct. I only had 30 customers, so there's no way we can have 8,550. Understand? And that happened because I didn't create my relationship. So you see the importance of creating the relationship. All right? Bear that in mind. Please remember to bear that in mind. All right. And I will save. So this one is going to be saved as long stay query. Long stay query. All right, so we can close this, finish with that one. So now we have 2 queries. And the final query, your accounts department requires a list of all financial transactions. Create a query that will show all costs for each visitor along with a calculated field to display the visitor tax. All right. So the visitor tax is something we have to calculate here. So because there's no visitor tax in Excel, the tax that's in here says a GCT tax. So it's giving you a new that you have to create here. So which is applied to all visitors. This is calculated as 7% of the adult tax. So the visitor tax is 7% of the adult tax. You want a query to show all costs for each visitor along with their visitor, the tax. All right, so let's try and create that. So you want a query design. Let's just put in all of them just to make sure we can take out what we don't want after. All right. This mouse is so sensitive. That gaming mouse, and it is so sensitive that every little minute thing I try to make it hard. I just trying to press yourself, make it a big deal. All right. Yeah. So let's put in first name and last name. Yeah, put in ID too. And then now it said that it wants to show all costs for each visitor. So they're going to show all costs for each visitor. So costs would mean adult costs, visitor costs, tax, discount, and amount to be paid. So that is all costs. We'll run that. These are all costs for each visitor. Next, now it says to create this tax, which is the visitor tax, VTX, at 7% of the adult cost. 7% of the adult cost. Remember that, 7% of the adult cost. Right? We're going to create a new field in here. So now, in this query, so we're going to go in this blank space. Watch this very carefully. We're going to go in this blank space. We're right on our mouse, and we're going to go to build. All right. When we are in build, we are going to go to our reservation. This is the database that we're using, the reservation database. We go to the tables. Remember that it says 7% of the adult cost. So the adult cost is in the payment table. So in payment table, there's an adult cost. So we'll just double click on the adult cost to make it come up like that. And it's 7%. So it's times, but we can't just type 7% like that. We have to type the decimal format. So it's going to be 0.07. Right? 0.07, sorry. 0.07 is the same as 7%. Right? 0.07 in decimal, same as 7%. Right? So this is the adult cost times 0.07, which is 7%, and OK. And we see coming here, so now. So this is now a calculated yield. So apart from all of this, what you do here, so you get an extra mark for this right here, so right. So let me run it, and so this would be the 7% of the adult cost. So I can do a mental check just to make sure that it's right. So the adult cost for this first person was around 80,000. 8%, 10% of this is 18,000. So 7% will be just about 12,600. Right. So it is right. Right. So good. So we'll confirm that this is correct. So we'll format it now because we want to have the dollar sign then. So we can just go back to the design view. All right. In here, so you see the field, it come up with EXPR1, a default name. We're going to take off the EXPR1 and we're going to call it ETX. Right? Next, we're going to right click in the cell, go to properties and format. Here's for format. We're going to format it to currency. All right. So that way when we run it again, it looks like this. So the currency come up. All right, I'm going to delete it and I'm going to do it back because I know somebody does say, "What's sir do the while?" Right, so remember, we're doing the third one here. So see, so we're creating a visitor tax at 7% of the adult costs. All right. So in the blank field to your right, the far most right, beside amount to be paid, you're going to put the cursor here, press your right mouse button, and go to build. In build, you get a blank area here so to create the expression. All right. You want the adult costs. So we go to reservation because this is where our table is. This is our database, reservation. We go to the tables, to the payment table because that is the one that have the adult costs. So cost now, we just double click on it. It comes up like this. Beside it, we put times, and we want to time it by 7%, but we can't say 7%. We have to use a decimal format for 7%. And the decimal for 7% is 0.07. So once you do that, and we press OK, it come up by itself here. So all you have to do is just check it, that is working. And we can go back, change the EXPR1. There's a colon beside it. Don't interfere with the colon. After EXPR1 and name it as VTX so that come up with the name VTX. In addition, in the cell, to confirm that it's working, you can go back in the cell, right click, go to properties, go to format, and make sure that this is on currency so that the sign come up on it. So when you run it again, it's supposed to come up looking like this. Right? It has the VTX at the top there. So, and this is the query for this one. And you get the marks for this query because it has so much steps in it. All right, and then we just press the save button up top, and this one is to be saved as VTX query. All right, so now we have 3 queries. So we have 3 tables, 3 queries. Sometimes you're looking here and you don't see information. Just change this. Sometimes it's on custom, so sometimes you might see come up all together. Just change it to object type, and it will separate the tables by the queries. So you have 3 tables, you have 3 queries. All right. Finally, now we want it a report based on the VTX query. This report should be sorted by last name. So these are important things you have to pay attention to. Sorted by last name and grouped by region. You see this? Because tell you down here, so now say it have a group region. But in here, so it never tell you nothing at all about region. So this we have to go back and add a region to this, which is fine. It says the report should also display the total amount of money to be paid by visitors. All right? And display a letterhead along with appropriate title. So that's a beauty about doing this and videoing it, is that you will be able to go back and forth over these things, because I'm sure as I'm talking now, some of you are losing track. But when you go back and watch it again, you will pick up everything that we're doing, all right? So creating the report, we're going to put in, I'm going to take off some of this writing. Creating our report based on the VTX query, which makes it easy because the query do already. The report should be sorted by last name and grouped by region. We don't have region VTX query yet, so we're going to put in region in this now. The report should also display the total amount of money to be paid by visitors. All right. The report should also have a letterhead. You know what a letterhead is, an appropriate title. Right. So we're going to do that one by one now. First, and before we go any further, we have to go back to the VTX query, and we're going to put in the region because the report asks for a region. So we'll go to our view, and we'll go to design view, and that will take us back to the original look. So all we have to do now is just double click region, and we should see it come up out at the end out here. So that is region. Good. When you run it, we see region right beside VTX. So that is what we want. So we can save that. So now we're going to do the report, which is that part. So we're going to create and to do our report wizard. Report wizard. All right. What is this? So with the report wizard now, it gives us an option of things we can use to create the table. So to create the report, we can create it from scratch by just going to the individual table and select the fees that we want one by one. But in this case, we already have VTX query created, so we don't need to go through all of that. So all we have to do is go to the VTX query that have everything we want in it already, and we just send it over here. So the single arrow we send over one field at a time. The double arrow will send over everything. So if I were doing it from scratch, from each table, I would use a single send over one by one piece that I need. In this case, because I have everything in my VTX already, I can just use a double arrow to send across everything. So it means that I'm using all of these things. Then I go to next. This is asking me, I want to add any groupings. Remember in here, so it says group by region. So yes, I'm going to go down to the region and press this arrow to group it. What this means is that to put all of the JA ones together, and then all of the EU ones together, all of the A ones together, and all of the South American ones together. That's what it means by grouping. Next, it's asking me, what sort do you want? I want to sort it by, remember this here? By last name. So I want to sort this by last name. And then down here, so it says your report should also display the total amount of money paid by visitors. This whole part here. So the report should show all of the money to be paid by visitors. So that will be in the summary part here. So in the summary part, I want to show the total amount to be paid. I want to show the sum for the amount to be paid. So that what that's going to do is at the end of each grouping is going to show me how much money to be paid by Europe, how much money to be paid by JA, and stuff like that. All right. No worry, after we finish this SBA for purposes, we're going to have more exam classes explaining some of these things a little bit more again. So you'll have an opportunity to learn it more for exam purpose. So for here, I just try to get through the SBA. That's why I'm going to try to get too in depth. All right. I'm just show you what you need for. All right. So amount to be paid, and then we buy sum. All right. Detail and summary, and okay. Then we'll go to next. Stepped. All right. Next, this I want to put in your heading now. So I want an appropriate heading for this. So looking at this, it is showing the report based VTX. So I just want to give it a decent heading. So I can say report and transactions. Right? You will make up a heading for yourself that's on appropriate describing what this report is showing you. And finish. So it's going to preview and finish. All right, good. So this is what I'm looking at. So you see, it show the EU, and then it show everybody in EU, JA, everybody in JA, North America, everybody South America, and then go on to our next page, everybody for South America. Good. Next thing it shows the summary, but the summary kind of cut off. You see them number sign here? It means kind of cut off. Don't worry about it, we can fix it. All right. So I mean, we need to edit this a little bit. So we can close the preview. When it come up like this now, this is where we're going to edit it. So we can go back and forth and look at it and edit it as we go. So we can go to view to see what it look like, and then we can go back to design view, edit it. So we go to view to see the ones we cut off. So adult costs, children, all of the costs after first name cut off. So this means that this needs to expand out. This one, come on. Sorry. So that means that put the cursor out here, so all of this needs to expand out. I can bring out these individually, but careful how you do it, because sometimes it mess up everything and you have to start over. So it's like a trial and error thing, but once you get it, you're good. So like the tax, that's too narrow, so we can widen out the tax a little bit, not the discount a little bit. The VTX can widen out a little bit. Not never wrong with the first name. I don't want widen out a little bit. Alright, so I see that it still want to go over a little bit more. So let's bring over that. This part going to take a little messing around with till they get it exactly where you want it. So that you're going to have a little patience. But I'm make sure I'm going to show you, because I don't want to make foolishness. Alright, so bear in mind, what you have to adjust was the headings. It's not the data part. So let me show you what I mean. So you see the heading are now aligned, so they're not jumbled up anymore, but the data part still jumbled up. So you're going to do now is just match the headings, match the headings, match the data part down here with the headings up at the top. So if it's VTX down here, so you just match it. One of the key things, don't move it out of the column, out of the rows. So you see each of them have separation rows that they are in here, so it serves a purpose. So don't drag this and put it up here. So it's going to show, you're going to get this started and show a different set of information. Amount to be paid, just align it under the heading for amount to be paid. Discount can align. Tax. Total cost. So like it align a little bit. Right, and the sum down here, so widen out a little bit too. So let's look at that and see if it looks good. Alright, it looks good, but guess what now? Look at me widen it out too much. But this is in essence what you want to see, but you look at me widen it out too much. Then you can come in some more. So you will mess with it until you see it look perfect and aligned. Don't leave broad out and widen out like this. If it look wide out like this, make sure you go back, take time, and neat it up. Alright, I just leave mine as is because I am not getting graded. But you can't leave yours as is because you are getting graded. Alright, so you see that how these look aligned and neat together. That's how more. Don't itch it up, but don't space it out with this big space between it. Alright, make sure the total down here says showing for each section where you group. Alright, and you see even the names are wide out here, so between the names, so this space here, so that's just easy. What? That can't just easy. That is this space here, so I bring up this space. That should right. So you see neat and all. So the neat I just need to bring over the other cost a little bit and everything come over until it neat up. But you will do that because you're getting graded. Alright? And you so the head here so now needs a little fixing up, right? So the heading up here so looks like that. So you need to put in I want you to put in your let's see if this can paste directly into it. All right, so now you have in you kind of heading from the Excel because of the same result and put it in. You can put the logo because of the same result. Just copy and paste. All right, usually most time it works. Copy. Alright, I don't know. Alright, so normally, I don't know why mine isn't copying, but normally you can just copy a logo and put it in on the page so to make it look more original. So you would copy a logo, put it here so that when you do the final view, it will be this, so that the company name up at the top, the report name right there, so, and your company logo here, so, and everything here, so, would go down. So remember, you're getting marked for how it's aligned. You get marked for the grouping, so make sure that it is grouped. If it don't group, you have to do it over. Make sure that it is sorted by last name. So may have D, then G, then P, then R, then R. If that don't do, you have to do it over. Make sure that the total, this is the total for the summary. It should be under this total amount to be P here. So make sure you move it over so that it looks, because now it looks like it under one of the other costs then. So make sure your total amount is out here. So like that. All right. And you're going to make some mistakes. And based on the mistakes that you make, sometimes you might have to do it over back from scratch. But it's part of the learning process. So don't call me balling and tell me say this now work and that now work. With the report, if something happens, just delete it and recreate it. All right. So finish 3 tables, 3 queries, 1 report. All right. The thing that I show you about doing the form is very easy to do, but I don't want to take up no more time with this. So I'm just going to leave it for next. But these are the most important parts. So when you finish this, send it to me. I will look it through, make sure everything good with it. And then Monday, we'll link again. I will try to do the programming. All right.
Sir, so when this come back in?
We can do this over the weekend. You can see me just take 1 hour require and do it. So you can
Sir,
take the rest of today. And
weekend?
yes, weekend. What happened?
No, sir. Yeah.
Listen,
That
if you
can
draw
do
the
a weekend.
they just take 1 hour and do it, and that I can't explain it. I mean, when they explain it, I done in a half hour. Why can't take 72 hours and done it and 72, whatever. 48 hours, 2D. Why can't take 2D and done it?
Sir, look how
Yeah.
that look at, sir, man. Sir, how fast you can get the video for watch?
First of all, I show you how to make everything easier. So you don't have to type all them table here, copy and paste the information. So you not type it over. All they do is copy and paste. It will take minutes to do. And this is the hard part. Everything here, so the query them auto-generate. Want to put in the right information, generate the query field. And nothing else no hard to do. Watch the video, I'm going to post it. As soon as it's done compressed, I'm going to post it. But next 20 minutes or so, you start working. Not a problem. All right?
Okay, sir.
Number. So if you have any problems, you give me a shout and you work through it from this one. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Keep safe. And start working on this now. Don't itch. Just start working on it. Don't dry it out. All right? Take care.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I upload it on YouTube.
Yeah. My upload on YouTube. I link to it.
All right, sir.
Yeah.